I'm excited to introduce to you Grant Stinchfield, who will say more. Take it away, Grant.
Thanks, hon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, folks. It's an exciting day. I mean, to put it bluntly, we are doing what has long been the unthinkable, and we are going to try to take out an entrenched incumbent Republican right here in District 24. This is, it's going to be a battle, no doubt about it. But I firmly believe that incumbents need to be challenged. We live in a day and age where they become so used to what's going on in Washington. And I heard a line that said the opposite of courage is not cowardice, it's conformity. And what's happened in Washington is they have all conformed. So there's nothing about us that's going to be conforming once we go to Washington, because we're going to do things differently than they have ever seen before. So I used to do live shots, and I used to make fun of my fellow reporters that they had notes, because I used to pride myself on not using notes. But I got notes for today because it's a big day. It's no coincidence that we're at the corner of Main and Wall Street here. You hear that term used, but right here in Grapevine, that term is real. And I've walked up and down this street many times before, sometimes as a reporter, now after running for Congress. And people are just asking, when is all of this going to end? When is it going to stop? Our futures depend on it. Our children's future depends on it. I have a 2-year-old boy at home. 2 years ago when he was born, I looked at him and I said, something has to be done. Our economy's going in the tank. Washington's spending us into oblivion, and they're mortgaging our children's future. So my plan is to go to Washington, and my father always said, you do what you know, right? Well, two things. I came up in a family of small business owners and entrepreneurs. My great-grandfather came over here on a boat from Italy, started a company, turned it from 2 or 3 men to 700 men. My father's a contractor. I've watched what it's like to struggle to make payroll every week. And I know folks are going through that right here in Texas. We've got to get the economy back on track. I'm a small business guy now. And you know, it's funny, it's like I never did TV. I went from 20 years of reporting, acting as a watchdog, to my business, and then I see firsthand what it's like to employ people. We got 10 guys there, and I feel so proud when I walk in and I see all those guys working and knowing that after 2 weeks they get a paycheck and they feed their families and they can go home and enjoy their lives. And there's a lot of people that don't have that right now. They're out of work, and they've been out of work for months. So, number one, I'm a small business guy. When you talk about the profitability of companies, the solutions are simple. You bring down expenses and you bring up revenues, and that's how you balance a budget. Washington wants to make it complicated. How do you bring down expenses? I have a plan to go to Washington, use my investigative reporting skills, and uncover and expose all the waste, fraud, and quite frankly, idiocracy that has taken over Washington. It's a mess. There we bring down expenses. $100 billion in fraud payments, abuse payments. That's 10% of our current budget, just in waste, fraud, and abuse. You do away with that. How do you bring up revenues? Everybody talks about raising taxes. I am telling you right now, as a guy who owns a business, raising taxes is not the answer. I look out here and I see small business owners here. I see folks who work for small business. I see retired folks here. They will all tell you raising taxes is not the answer. We need to raise the amount of taxpayers, okay? That means put people to work. The more people that are working, the more people will be paying taxes. So a lot of people are asking me, Grant, why are you running against an incumbent? He's a good conservative man. Why are you running against him? I agree that Kenny Marchant has been a conservative force in Washington. The problem is he is not doing the work that the people sent him there to do. Yes, you can press a yay or nay button that's a conservative vote, but you need to be out there on the top of the mountain screaming and yelling. You need to be fighting. And I think it's time we bring energy to Washington. We send folks all across the country like me and knows what it's like to run a small business now, and we send them to Washington and we overwhelm Congress with like-minded folks. And you know what? America's great. We can do anything. There's a gentleman here, he's part of the greatest generation. My grandfather just died, also a World War II veteran. Generations have stepped up time and time before. It's time my generation steps up. We burden ourselves, put it on our shoulders, and we move forward. Kenny Marchant voted to increase the debt ceiling, okay? We have these fiscal hawks now. Thankfully for the Tea Party, comes out and calls everybody out on the spending crisis in Washington, and now all of a sudden we have so-called fiscal hawks. But I ask, where were they 2, 4, 6, 8 years ago? The debt ceiling was raised numerous times there. Only now, because of the Tea Party calling out saying, no, we're tired of it. We don't want to increase the amount of spending. It's done. Yet, Kenny Marchant is quoted as saying he's proud to join his fellow conservatives in Congress to increase the debt ceiling. I don't know what he's proud about, but increasing the debt ceiling is not something to be proud about. So thank you all for joining us.